Today's episode is brought to you by...
Hi, I'm Jeff Goulding and I'm a Liverpool author.
And I'm Kieran Smith, the Liverpool historian.
Together, we've been working on a book entitled The Untouchables, Anfield's Band of Brothers.
It's a great story about one of the greatest sides in Liverpool's history who won back-to-back titles in the 1920s.
Yeah, this is a team that is absolutely packed with incredible characters. Men who fought on the battlefields of Europe in the First World War and returned home to claim 2 league titles in a row.
And it's due for release in the UK in September. And thanks to our friendship, the Liverpool Connection podcast, it's also going to be made available through them in the United States.
Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Connection podcast. I am your host, Daz, and I've got my other host with me, Steve, today. I just want to, my missus has actually told me over and over again that I need to say, please subscribe and like. We've got a YouTube channel called the Liverpool Connection podcast. You can get at us at ATX Reds podcast and our website, atxreds.com. We've got tons of content on there, ATX Reds Press, with a bunch of authors who have, given us their time to do a bunch of articles, and then it has all our episodes, and we are nearing our 100th episode. I cannot believe it's already up to there, Steve. It's amazing what a ride we're having. And also, this is a quick one as well. Our mate, Jeff Goulding, who is, he came out with the book, The Untouchables. He also was nice enough to send these 3 books. And we're going to do a competition. It's his Red Odysseys books. And whoever, there you go, Steve. Well done, lad. We will be giving them out if you get the answers right. And they're going to be tough answers because these books are really worth something. I'll even sign them. Steve will sign them. Why not?
Why not?
So look out for the competition in the next couple of weeks. And also, Jeff has been kind enough to also send an extra copy of The Untouchables, which is an absolutely amazing story about the Liverpool side that won and was also during the war. That is packed full of amazing stories. So there you go. Now let's get to our special guest today, all the way from Australia. So tonight here in Austin, Texas, it's Wednesday night, but all on the other side of the world, it's Thursday afternoon. I still don't see a beer in his hand, so it must be early afternoon. But we welcome Phil Dando. Welcome, sir.
Hey, hello, and good afternoon and good evening, whatever it may be. And yeah, it's only 1 o'clock, or just after 1 o'clock here, so not quite beer o'clock yet, but it's not far away.
Yeah, so another hour then.
Another hour or so, yeah. As long as the wife doesn't know, yeah.
So, see, it is late for me. Phil is a former goalkeeper. He has put on that Liverpool jersey, which doesn't matter how many times you put it on. If you put it on once, you got that live bird next to your chest. Is amazing to me. We've brought him on because he's definitely got a story to tell. And what I want to start out is, you're a Scouser, right? Born and bred.
Born and bred, yeah.
How was it, growing up in Liverpool at your time? Not in the 1920s, but not that old.
Not quite that old, no.
How was it growing up? How old were you when you went to Anfield, and also your schoolboy days, like playing footy?
Yeah, well, I was born and raised in Anfield, and I lived in Edith Road. So for those of you who know the area, it's 200 yards away from. So we were right in the middle of Edith Road. So if we walked up to Anfield Road, and along it was about 200 yards. If we walked down to Walton Breck Road, it was about 200 yards to the first turnstile to the Cop. So I grew up, born in 1952. My dad was a keen player, and then when he finished playing, he was going to the matches, and I used to stand on the step at Edith Road, watch him go, and then listen to the roar of the crowd. So by the time he got home 5 minutes after the end of the game, I knew what the score was by the roar of the crowd. And that was the old second division days. That was pre-Bill Shankly, so it was always there. I knew he played a bit. You go back to your very first memory of childhood. My very first memory is being in like a romper suit at about the age of 3 on Clubmore Rec on the touchline where my dad was playing, because he just played in local amateur football. He didn't have any pretense to being a brilliant player or anything. The name of the team he played for was Walfield. All the guys came from either Walton or Anfield, so they made it into Walfield. So he played for them. Then mid-30s he gave it up, and then I used to watch him going off to the games. As I say, mid-1950s, and then it went from there. And my very first game that I went to was December 1958. Once again, Phil Taylor was manager. Liverpool were in the second division, and it was just before Christmas. And what used to happen, my dad had relatives in Wales, and they used to come over every Christmas, and the men used to go off to the football, and the women used to go into town shopping. And they were just about to leave for the match, and I threw a tantrum. I was about 6, and I threw a tantrum. I said, I want to go to the match, And I made so much of a fuss about it that they ended up taking me to the match. Didn't want to go into town shopping, of course, So my very first game, December 1958, against Swansea Town. I always remember it was Swansea. Had to go back and check the facts, but and we sat in the back row of the very old Kemlyn Road stand, not the cantilever stand or the centenary stand as it is now, the one before, paid at the gate to go in, which you could do in them days. I'm just checking back the other day, there was 27,000 was the crowd when the ground held 60,000. So you could do that in them days. And that was my very, very first memory of my dad playing and football. And in my life, and my very first game that I went to too. So in answer to your question, growing up then, Liverpool's second division, really, they were foundry until Bill Shankly came, as you're probably aware with the history and everything now. And it was, but we were used to it. And so we used to go, you could get in. And then I started watching after they'd got promotion in 1963 in the boys' pen. Well, I started going to the reserve games before that, started sneaking in when they opened at 3/4 time, when they opened the big gates and for the first team games. Once again, there was room, you see, because it wasn't full in the old second division days. And used to sneak in there for the last 15 minutes or so, and then started progressing into the boys' pen, onto the Anfield Road end, then the Cop, and then on to play.
How much did you pay back then?
In the boys' pen, I think it was about 6pence in them days. Yeah, and I think it was
sanity
shillings or something in the ground. Yeah, from memory, I can't remember now, but it was certainly, it was certainly silly money. Not like it is today.
Yeah, well,
of pounds.
And there's no ticket issues back then. You just go pay your money, go through the turnstiles, and you're in.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was it. I mean, that very first game I went to, it must have been like 5 to 3 or 5 minutes to kick off by the time with the turnstile, because I kicked up so much of a fuss, And in the end, they just, let's take him, and then we got in the ground, and that was me. I was lost. Yeah, I was gone from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always great to remember like the first time you got to Anfield, because it sticks with you. The match, you remember pretty much everything. The smell of the grass, the smell of some other stuff as well in the crowd, as we all know.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but yeah, no, those are good old days. Who was one of your favourite players back then?
I don't know that I had a favourite player, because I just loved the club so much. Probably if anyone, Roger Hunt, with him being an England international. He was the one you sort of you really looked at. But it was a terrific era to be growing up in, because we had the Beatles and the Merseybeat and all that. So Liverpool was like the centre of the universe. And the two football teams were doing well, both Liverpool and Everton. And the music was great, and so it was the centre of the universe. And but yeah, Roger Hunt was probably my favourite, and St John was always a hero of everyone's as well. And but they all were, if they were wearing the red shirt, they were mine. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. I'll bring Steve in.
Hey, Phil, thanks for coming out.
Pleasure, mate.
Yeah, I just love hearing these stories of really pre the glory days, right? You were watching the club during the second division, and all of us now, we couldn't even imagine, we would like to say we'd be there for every game and every match, even in the second division. But as you alluded, the stands weren't packed, while the club was in the second division. So different atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bill Shankly described it well. He said when he got there, it was like a toilet. From the cop, sometimes it was. When it was packed. But it was terribly run down, and they just seemed to be going nowhere. And then Shankly came and just took by the scruff of the neck, if you like. And but it's funny, as soon as he arrived, I think us kids, we ran round, to see if we could see him in the car arriving and that sort of thing. And we did. And, we just thought it had the feel of a new era, It took him a while. He lost his first game 4-0, 1959, which was a year after my first game, December 1959. And but it just had the feel of a new era. And you just knew they were on the way. Though my dad said, even after they got promoted, at the start of every season, he used to say, "Mark my words, they'll get relegated this year." So he was ever the pessimist. So I think that was like reverse psychology. So when people are moaning nowadays about, we beat AC Milan 3-2, and they're moaning about the way we played, conceded 2 goals, and I just come out and say, "Well, mark my words, we'll be fighting relegation this year." So there's just no concept of what it used to be like. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have lost perspective on everything, just with the money involved in the game, and just how many games there are every season, the travel. I think sometimes you just want to go back to the simple times, but it's we're so blessed to see the players that Liverpool can trot out there on a game by game basis.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, we are really, really spoiled now, with what we're able to go and see. And even for me, we haven't been able to travel for over a year, but we're still in lockdown. And but I used to love going back and going to the matches, and I have to pay a fortune to do it, because even I don't get it, despite being an ex player, I don't get a ticket, so I've got to go and buy one somehow, So, but I just love going there, and it just opens when you walk up the steps and out, like Trent Alexander-Arnold said, and you see the green and the colours, and it's just mind blowing. You can't help but get caught up in it all. And even my missus, who doesn't like. Well, he's not bothered about football. When we go home, she said, "Well, if you go into a match, I'm going as well," because she just loves the atmosphere. And I shouldn't really say that, because it's doing a good supporter out of a ticket probably, but they are, But she does love going and savouring the atmosphere. But there's another story. I mean, I should never take her, because I remember 1960, whatever it was, it's 1970 or something, when we got engaged. And I took her to her first ever game, and she'd been at work. It was a night game, and against West Ham, and she came round to my place after work, because being so close to ground, and she had some dinner, and then we went round the match, and we're halfway through the first half, and she looks down at her hand, and she goes, "Oh my God, where's my ring?" We'd got engaged like 2 weeks before, and she didn't have her ring on. She took it off to wash her hands before she left work, and she lost it. So that spoiled the whole West Ham game for me that night. So fortunately, it was insured, and we got another one. But so that was my first memory of taking her to a football match. She'd lost her ring.
So somebody is walking around with that ring on.
Well, maybe, yeah, yes, probably, yeah, from 1970. Could be worth a bit now, the way the gold prices have gone up. Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, such is life. Yeah.
Blame for them.
Right. Hey, Phil, obviously growing up in Liverpool, more so, I guess even back then is like, you have your local clubs, Everton and Liverpool, and you want to play for them, right? As a schoolboy. So take us through the process and how you got to be involved with Liverpool. You got to, be really understudy to, Tommy Lawrence and Ray Clements, and just take us through that.
Yeah, well, it'd be quite a humorous story, and you'd have to bear with me on this one because it's quite long too. I started playing at Anfield Road Juniors, and I was always a good player because my dad used to take me out in Stanley Park, and we used to knock a ball around, and sometimes we put the coats down and I'd go in goal, and my dad would be smacking them in, and I'd be diving around and saving them, and so. When they were picking the school team for the first time, no one knew who could play where or anything. And I'm a good player, I'm playing, pick me. And they were picking everyone. And then there was only goalkeeper left. And I'm going, me. So I ended up getting picked in goal the third year at Anfield Road Juniors, played all season there. Then in the last year, the fourth year at Anfield Road Juniors, I decided I wanted to be an outside right. And I played all season there. Then I went to grammar school, like I passed the 11 plus and went to grammar school, the Liverpool Institute, and, which is the same school as the Beatles, George Harrison and Paul McCartney went to, George Sefton went to as well, so there's a few of us who have done all right. And so after 2 games in, I was playing right wing, and for the third game, they left me out. But they were struggling for a goalkeeper. So I went, yeah, I can play in goal. Yeah, pick me. So I went to a practice. My dad took me to a practice, and I heard one of the teachers say to me, Dad, God, he's the best goalkeeper I've ever seen at his age. And I go, oh, that's me. Right, okay, I'm a goalkeeper. And there was a goalkeeper from then on in. And so I was always playing for the school teams. And I also played for the Boys Brigade. I was in the Boys Brigade at St. Simon's, St. Jude's Church, Anfield as well, played for them. And at 14, I got picked for the Liverpool Battalion Boys Brigade team, and we went down to London and Belfast and places like that to play games. And it was an under-18 team, and I thought, I must be doing all right here, So I thought, oh, yeah, I might have a bit of a future in the game, you never know. And my twin sister, had a friend in the next road, Miriam Road, Anfield, and she was the niece of Tom Bush. And Tom Bush was the guy who played for the club, played for Liverpool back in the 30s and 40s, I think, and then had been sort of in charge of getting the young boys through the grades and that. And she said, would you have a word with him and see if he can get a trial or something? So she did. And then from there, he basically said, turn up to Melwood with your kid Tuesday night, and we'll go from there. So I turned up on the Tuesday night. He said, oh, hello, how are you, son? Put your kit on, off you go. And so put my kit on, did the training, went home. My dad said, how did you go? I said, well, I don't know. He said, what do you mean you don't know? Well, no one spoke to me. He said, well, he said, did you do what you were told? I said, well, yeah. He said, oh, I don't think I'll go back. He said, you get yourself back there. So this was about an April. So it was getting towards the end of the season, March or April, towards the end of the season. So I used to just turn up Tuesday and Thursday, same thing. No, Reuben Bennett was one of the coaches then, Shankly's right-hand man. He used to do the juniors of the Tuesday, Thursday evening as well. And he was helped by George Patterson, a nice old Scottish bloke who lived on Walton Breck Road. And I just did what I was told to do. The end of the season came, and still no one has said anything to me, basically, so finished off, said to my dad, oh, well, I'm, that's that then, I won't be going back. And he said, well, why not? I said, well, they haven't signed me on anything, they haven't done anything with me. And I wrote off to a few clubs for trials and got no answers. And I thought, oh, bloody hell. And my dad said, just go back. When they start again, just go back. I said, I can't do that. He said, of course you can. So basically, just to please him, I went back. And I walked in and I got to the very old changing rooms at Melwood, and Tom Bush is by the door. And he goes, oh, hello, son. He says, who told you to come back? And I said, well, no one. I said, but and I was a bit of a shy kid, but I had a bit of a smart mouth in them days, got me into trouble at school as well, you know. I said, well, no one told me. I said, but no one told me not to either. And it just, like, there was just a smile played on his lips, and he went, all right, let's get your kit on. So this was what, August? Yeah, July, August for the start of pre-season again. And so I just carried on the same as I'd done the season before. So this was what, 1967. So just about 15. And in October 1967, I was in the school first 11. So I was 15. I was in the school first 11, playing with kids who were 17 and 18, and against team, you know, the top teams in the grammar schools and that. And I got selected for the Merseyside grammar schools team to go to Germany. And I went, oh, I must be doing okay here. So I made sure that Tom Bush and Ruben and George Patterson knew about it, that I was going over. And that may be the thing that started swinging them towards me, because the 14th of December, 1967, Tom Bush came and said, oh, he said, you better come and sign this form. That's the bottom half of it there. You probably can't read it. So anyway, so you better come and sign this form. He said, you're playing for the C team on Saturday. Oh, and the C team was made up of like kids like myself, trialists, and the apprentices and the junior apprentices, and that. And they used to play friendly matches against working men's clubs and things like that. We played a club called Longview Labour Club. We got beat 1-0, but it was on a pitch covered in snow. The very first game for a Liverpool team in goal on a pitch covered in snow. And so I said to the trainer, Les, I can't remember his second name, he was looking after the team at the time. I said, oh, is there any tracksuit bottoms? And I got the stock standard Liverpool answer in there. I said, we don't wear tracksuit bottoms round here, son. You know, I don't. Okay, so I just got on with it. Got beat 1-0, but I thought, oh, I must have done all right, you know, I did okay. And then nothing more, as per usual, Liverpool, nothing was said, you know. Okay, got a pound in expenses, and I thought, oh, this is good. And yeah, same. We got through Christmas, and the C team did. I don't think they had any games. And then just after we went back in the new year, what they used to do was put all the teams up on the notice board on a Thursday night after training. So you come back in and you'd look at the board and you go, oh. So, oh, there's a C team game, and then, oh, bugger, I'm not playing. One of the lads said, you better have a look at the B team list. Oh, well, I looked at the B team. I've been selected for the B team. Oh, this was it. The big time. I was playing with all the apprentices and the junior pros and that. So I played one game in the C team, and for the rest, well, there was about 12 games left at the end of the season. I played in 6 of them for the B team, and it went from there. And if I hadn't followed my dad's advice and gone back without anyone telling me to go back, who knows where I would have ended up. So that was me. I was signed on as an associate schoolboy till the end of that season, and then I did my O levels, and I wasn't an intellectual by any means, so I wasn't staying on at school. And I said to Tom Bush, I'm leaving school at the end of term. And so what happened before the end of the school term, we'd had the Easter holidays, and I'd said to Tom Bush, I said, what would be the chances, seeing as I was now the B team goalkeeper, you know, what would be the chances of me coming in and training during the school holidays with the professionals? And he said, oh yeah, that's a good idea. He said, you come on in. So I used to walk around the corner. We used to get changed at Anfield in those days and go down to Melwood on the bus. I don't know, quite a lot of listeners would remember that, I suppose. And so I used to go down there, and I used to go training with the first team for the 2 weeks while we were on school holidays, and that just brilliant. Because you just used to get chucked in goal for the shooting practices, and you'd have the likes of Peter Thompson, you know, and it was a great learning process. I always remember, you know, you think, right, narrowing the angle. I know how to narrow the angle, and you'd come out, and Peter Thompson would just walk over your head, and you go, ooh, maybe I didn't have them quite right, you know. And I just thought it was wonderful that all these players, Roger Hunson, Ian St. John's, and then that had been cheering from the Kop a few weeks before. I was now training alongside them, and it was just magic. And so anyway, so I thought, well, I'm accepted here. You know, I might have a bit of a chance. And then, as I said, the end of the season came. I said to Tom Bush, well, you know, a year late, but what about signing me as an apprentice? And he said, oh, I think we'll just sign you as an amateur for next season. All right. But I went there, as, you know, back as an amateur. At least it was signed on forms, and I progressed from the B team to the A team, the Lancashire League, from Lancashire League Division 2 to Lancashire League Division 1. And then I even, at the start of the following season as well, I got signed amateur. And they rang me at work. Tom Bush rang me at work one morning, and he said, can you get out of work? And I went, yeah, why? He said, oh, we want you to go with the reserves playing Oldham first team in the Lancashire Senior Cup time. We want you to go. I said, oh, well, you know, I'm just going for the ride, like, you know, because sometimes they just take you for the ride with the team above. And that. And he said, no, he said, you're playing. You know, so I'd had like a season and a bit in the B and the A teams, and then all of a sudden here it was at 17. I'd just turned 17 as an amateur, and I was going to play off to play with the likes of Larry Lloyd, Alec Lindsay, I can't remember who else played in it. You know, Steve Peplow, John McLaughlin, Doug Livermore, Roy Evans. There's half the team for you. So that was that happened, and I'm thinking, God, oh my, I'm on the way here. And then a couple of weeks later, Tony Waiters, who was youth development officer at the club at the time, he had a great ex-England goalkeeper, so he knew a bit about goalkeeping. He asked me, did I want to sign professional? And that's how I became a professional.
That's a good story. But yeah, thank goodness for your dad. I mean, you know. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, if he hadn't said go back, what, you know, who knows where it would have been? Yeah. I might have had a better career. You never know.
That's one of those like, there he comes again. All right, come on, get in. But,
yeah, well, it was just funny, you know, because like as I say, I was a shy kid and didn't have a lot of confidence, you know, and I said to Tom Bush, well, no one told me not to come back either, and he just smiled, you know, and get your kit on then, you know. So there we go. So yeah, but it's funny, you know. I mean, as I say, we train on the Tuesday and Thursday, and in typical Liverpool, they don't tell you an awful lot, you know. Like, I don't know what would have happened if someone hadn't said to me, check the B team board that day, because I might not have turned up, you know. But you know, you just sort of almost left your own devices, and you're down on your knees or live on your feet. I can't remember the saying, but you just left almost your own devices. And I say about Ruben Bennett, and I used to think Ruben hated me, and just had him for 5 years. I had a couple of years on the Tuesday and Thursday nights, and then 3 years as a pro. And in 5 years, he called me Phil once. Most of the time, it's Dando. Oh, bloody Dando. And so, you know, I thought, this man hates me, but all he was doing was trying to toughen me up, right? And with the benefit of hindsight, I wish I knew then what I know now, you know. So, yeah. But that was Ruben, and that was Liverpool. That was the way you were treated. Yeah.
You know, you mentioned Roger Hunt, and he left not too long after you signed for the team. Is that right?
He did, yeah. He was just coming towards the end of his career, yeah. Sir Roger Hunt, and he will always be remembered as Sir Roger Hunt to me, and many others in my era as well. And phenomenal goal scorer. You know, look, you know, you talk about Salah. You know, you can almost put your house on Salah scoring when he gets in the right positions. And that Roger Hunt was just. He really missed, you know. You just knew he was going to score his share of goals, you know, his 20 or so. And in the season they won promotion, he scored 40 something, didn't he? And he was some play, and he was a smashing bloke as well. He, you know, being alongside them, he was very humble and a nice man, and a lot of time for him. Yeah.
You know, I want to ask you a question, because I know, you know, when you have Tommy Lawrence and Ray Clements, you know, in front of you, you're not going to really get on the team sheet. Take us through your training. Are you still training with them during the week, or how does that go?
Well, yeah, it was all different in them days, because you didn't have goalkeeper coaches. And I said Tony Waiters signed me when he was youth development officer, and being an ex-England goalkeeper was great. And he obviously took an interest in me because I was his signing, and I think the reason they signed me as a pro was to get me in because they fancied themselves to have a good run in the FA Youth Cup that season, which we didn't. We got beat in the second game. Well, the second round we played in a replay at Leeds, but anyway, and that was 3-2, and that was unfortunate. But so Tony would work with me, but in those days you didn't have a goalkeeper coach. So, and I think of Bruce Grobbelaar, who you had on not so long ago. I don't know whether he may see it, but I remember him saying that he didn't really improve much as a goalkeeper, but by God, he became a better outfield player because they used to join in the five-a-sides and that, and we were similar. That they would do some exercises where you're throwing balls at you, the coaches, and that. But you didn't do an awful lot of specific goalkeeper coaching, certainly not like they do nowadays, nothing like that. But I just knew, see, Ray Clements was nearly 4 years older than me. There was another goalkeeper there who was about 18 months older than me. So there was and Tommy Lawrence, who was in the first team at the time as well. And so I signed as like the fourth goalkeeper and sort of went past one of them into the third team, and probably because they want, because of the FA Youth Cup thing. But I got to training very early on in the piece and went, blimey, this Clemens, he was only the reserve team keeper at the time. And I just used to look at him and think, he's miles in front of me. He can do things that I could only dream of, There was one, I'd say about one of the exercises, you used to lie on your stomach and they used to throw the ball above your head and you catch it. And it was all for your flexibility, your core, I suppose, in them days, And that was okay. I think that was pretty good, And you weren't allowed to put your hands down. You had to sort of hold and then come up. I think, all right. But I used to watch Ray Clements and he used to just go like that, And I went, oh my God, So and then just how agile he was in the goal and that, I just went, and he had a lot more confidence in me too. So yeah, so that helped as well. But yeah, so I said no goalkeeping coaching. It rankled with me a little bit, yeah. And then it wasn't until I was a bit late, about 21, I was in New Zealand. I thought, I've got to do something specific for goalkeepers. So I ended up as a 21-year-old, taking all the young keepers, and I was putting them through their paces while I was doing mine, until things started changing, So yeah, well, I became a good five-a-side player.
There's not a lot of YouTube videos of Phil Dando in goal. So tell us.
There's a couple. If you go to Newcastle KB United, you'll find a couple. Yeah,
that's right.
I've got one saved. It's the best game. I think it's one of the best games I ever played. So, but anyway, carry on.
Yeah, no, I was saying, out of the modern day keepers, obviously the position has changed quite a bit since you've played. But do you fancy somebody similar in style that maybe the way you played, or is it just a totally different position now from when you were playing?
No, I maintain that your first priority is still to stop the ball going in the back of the net, but you've got to have a bit more than that nowadays as well. You've got to be able to play with your feet. Now, I think someone might say I'm wrong, but I think that because I could play a bit on the pitch, then I might have a chance, of being able to adapt to today's game. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like any era, you try and say, well, would Stanley Matthews be a success or George Best be a success in this era? I think the top players would be successful in any era. So, certainly the likes of Gordon Banks, Ray Clements, Peter Shilton's, they would do well in this era because they would adapt, and they would be doing the stuff, that was needed to be done in their training all the time. Because like even Andy Lonergan, when he came to Liverpool, he said that I got much better with my feet. And I think Adrian's done the same as well. He said, I've become a much better player with my feet than I was because Liverpool want you to play that way. So they worked on it and they improved him, And to me, that's the essence of coaching, is to improve people. And it's one of the things I say that rankles with me at Liverpool that, well, Bill Shankly said to me during my last season that he said, you were a better prospect of 15 than you are now. And I was 19. And what I wanted to say, but didn't have the guts to say it, was, well, wasn't that your job to make me a better player? And this is what Jurgen Klopp gets. That he says, all right, it's all right going out and signing players and paying big money for them, but we've got to make the players that we've got better players. And I think that's the essence of coaching. I've coached a fair bit. And when I finished playing, my immediate thought, I always wanted to win. And then I went into coaching and I thought, well, hang on a minute. I'm doing this fella a disservice if I don't try and improve him, you know. So that's what I stuck by it. And so I go back to my days and say, yeah, there were things lacking in those days that could have been done better.
Well, you were just 50 years ahead of time. You know, you've been the sweeper keeper extraordinaire right now. Well,
of course, don't forget that Tommy Lawrence was the first of them, you know, and so he was before me, you know, so it's not new. If typical in football, everything old is new again, you know. I mean, like, I wish I'd kept some of my ties, you know. We could have got thin ties or thick ties, and I never wear a tie or a suit nowadays. But you know, so things go out of fashion and come back in fashion. But Tommy Lawrence was basically the first sweeper, and I got into problems over this side of the world because I played off my line, because that's the way I'd been coached at Liverpool. Well, told to play at Liverpool. You weren't coached, you were just told to do it, you know. You said, right, you've got to play off your line, and you've got to be able to sweep up and knock them out if necessary. And doing it here, you know, no one was used to it, and the defences were sitting back on you, you know, and you, oh, bloody hell, you know. So we had a few problems with that. But, yeah, you know, I mean, to talk about coaching, how coaching's changed as well. I mean, people don't believe me when I say back in the days when I was there, the only coaching you heard was get it down, get it wide, give it to another red shirt, because they had the best players. Mm-hmm. You know, they got the best players. Or they went looking for the best players, got them, and Shankly was telling them, right, you are the best player in your position in the world. You know, and everyone believed. He told the fans there, and everyone believed him. And you know, and the story of Graham Souness when he signed, you know, record signing, and he'd been there 2 weeks. Asked Joe Fagan, you know, said, no one's told me what they want me to do. And Joe said, you want us to tell you what to do? We've just paid all that money for you. You know, do what you've been doing. That's what you've been signed to do. You know, and so that was Liverpool in a nutshell. Yeah, we'll bring you in to do the job that you've been doing, because you're playing with better players, you'll get better as well. You know, so yeah. And you know, while I was at Liverpool as well, I went 18. They sent me on loan to Barrow, and I thought, oh, football league. I thought they were in the 3rd division. They were actually bottom of the 4th division. I don't know why I didn't do my research, but anyway, I went there for 3 months, and you know, the coaching and the facilities both there and Bury, where I went on loan later in the season, they left a lot to be desired. But when I was at Barrow, we were due to play an FA Cup first round game at Lincoln. So the manager got us in on the Monday. He said, right, FA Cup training. And we ran round and round the Holker Street pitch. Round and round. We did the same on Tuesday. We did it on Wednesday. We did it on Thursday. We went to Lincoln on the Friday. He said, we'll just have a little bit of a run on the park on Saturday morning just to loosen up, just half an hour. Well, I was stiff as a board and I was standing in the goal. So I had to think what the other lads were like. And I just looked and went, I was 18. I thought, this is not coaching. This is not what you should be doing. And yeah, so so that was one of the things. And similar at Bury. Bury wasn't much better. It wasn't better at all.
Well, you couldn't even didn't have goalie clubs back then either, did you?
Now people ask us, you know, you talk about the YouTube videos and the photos and that, you know, and there's all these photos of me, and you know, I'm quite the celebrity here in Newcastle, and people see, oh, you know, people are posting old photos and old videos and stuff like that. And they said, oh, you didn't have any gloves on, you know. And yeah, well, with late 70s, you know, early 80s is when they started coming in. I said, but before that, I said, we didn't wear them. But you used to go to the Army and Navy stores. Was it Ranelagh Street in Liverpool? There was an Army and Navy store. Do they have Army and Navy stores anymore? And if so, why did they used to buy so much? It was Army and Navy surplus, you know. And but you used to buy string gloves, And we had to buy them ourselves, Tommy Lawrence would go in and Ray Clements and myself and the other goalkeeper, we'd go into the Army and Navy and buy our own spring gloves. And that's what we were, and because they had a bit of a rough surface to them. But you'd only wear them on wet days and you'd have a few so that, you could change them constantly as well. Then Peter Bernetti of Chelsea in England, he brought out some, when they were getting into the fancy all green gear, he brought out some green gloves, but they were next to useless then. They just dead slippy, like, they had no purchase on them. And then fortunately, I was here in Australia at the time. One of the lads playing in the other teams, he was in touch with Ulsport in Germany, and he started bringing gloves in, and we all started buying off him, and then it went from there. And so the early 1980s was probably when we started getting into goal.
It was weird. I remember the first goalkeeping gloves I ever bought. It looked like gardening gloves, and they've got the table tennis. They look daft now. But
well, funny you should mention, because I went to China in 1975 with the New Zealand team, and we looked at the goalkeeper, and we were still in our bare hands and that on the dry days, but we looked at the goalkeepers, and they had like leather gloves with the table tennis stuff on as well, and so I bought a couple of pairs of them, but they didn't last very long because they used to get roughed up. You couldn't get them then in Australia or in New Zealand as it was in them days, so it was back to bare hands. We tried all the stuff, like the lawn bowlers. They used this grip fix stuff and that, tried all that, but so I was glad when the gloves came in. Yeah,
and they were hard footballs back then as well. Oh man, yeah. Get hit with one of those, and you'll see little stars for a while.
You'd have the imprint on your thigh on a cold day as well for a long time. Yeah, you caught one there. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it just hit you on the thigh.
I was saying about my Liverpool Tuesday and Thursday days. That was the worst one I ever got. We never used to wear undershorts in those days, or wear trunks. We just used to, except for the games, you just used to wear a pair of football shorts. I think that's it. I sang Boy Soprano for a few weeks after that.
I just had a gulp then. Oof.
It's not nice, is it? Yeah.
No, not on a wet, cold day, getting booted in the nuts with a hard football. No, it's not good.
Yeah, and you see it now on the telly. We all laugh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's not us.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Hey, Phil, how did you get to qualify and play for the New Zealand national team? Tell us about that.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, well, I mean, during my last season at Liverpool, I knew after Shankly had said there was a better prospect at 15, I was at 19. I thought, well, this is the end of my days here. And he said he was going to fix me up with another club, actually. And, and every fortnight or so, I knock on his door. Anyone want me? And he'd say, no, can't find anyone for you, son. Okay. So during that season, I'd seen an advert in the Charles Buchan's Football Monthly magazine. The players were wanted in New Zealand. And they said, the standard of football in New Zealand is growing all the time. And right now it would be about equivalent to second division standard. And I was, that might be. I played third and fourth division. I said, that'd be a good standard. And I fancied a bit of adventure. And I had a grandfather in Australia. And I thought, on the other side of the world. I just got married, had a baby, very young, 19, still married, still the same lady. So the one who lost the engagement ring. And I said, well, we need to secure our future, so I wrote off, and there was two clubs contacting me, Nelson United and Christchurch United. And because Nelson United were the first club, they were in the second tier of New Zealand football. I thought, well, if that advert's to be believed, that'll still be a good standard. So I went to them. It took a long time, but anyway, and I only got there in time for the last 5 games of the season. And I just looked at it and went, this standard's not, although they were up at the top and pushing for the National League, I thought this standard's not quite good enough. And so Christchurch United, the other team, they'd been speaking to me. they said, well, why don't you come down here, play in the National League? And so they transferred me down from Nelson, which I felt a bit guilty about, but I made it up to them because when I finished playing, I went back to Nelson and coached there for 2 years. So I went down to Christchurch, and we were the best team in New Zealand at the time. So the first season there, we won the league. In the 18 games, I missed a couple with a broken finger, and I only conceded 11 goals. And so they started saying, well, we want to pick this bloke for the New Zealand team. And in those days, you were supposed to be resident for like 3 years. So somehow, and I don't know quite how, but the New Zealand Football Association said, well, if we can get you your citizenship, would you play like? And I said, well, yeah, of course, I mean, I was on the scrap heap 6 months or 12 months to go, getting thrown out at Liverpool. Now I'm going to be an international. And so somehow, as I say, they got a citizenship, they said, oh, and I just applied for mine. And they said, well, what about your wife? And I said, well, what about it? You don't want her to play as well, do you? And they said, well, no, but if one of you is applying, you've all got to apply. And oh, well, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, go for it. So they rushed the citizenship through, and the next thing was I was playing for New Zealand against Iran in a friendly match in 1973, and it was about 13 months after I'd left England. So fortunes changed. The only trouble was in New Zealand, I had 4 and a bit seasons. So I kept getting injured. I got injured every season. I broke my finger in that international. The following season, I had my jaw broken in the semi-final of the cup. The season after that, I dislocated my elbow. And the season after that, I broke my jaw again. So it just, and I'd never had an injury at Liverpool, and all these things, and I kept missing games. And then I kept missing New Zealand, missed club games, and I missed international games as well. And I missed some good tours as well. And so, of course, the season there was only like 18 games long, far shorter season what we have here. And then we had a supplementary pre-season tournament as well that didn't go long. So by missing 5, 6, 7 games a season, you were hardly playing any, so your form's going and everything. So I lost my place in the New Zealand team, and every time I got anywhere near getting back into the team, and I ended up playing 8 internationals for them altogether, but I should have probably played about 48, 58, but I kept getting injured. And in the end, I just went, I've had enough of this. And I got left out of a New Zealand World Cup squad in 1977 for the 78 World Cup. So I got left out of the qualification because I'd just come back from my second broken jaw, but I was nowhere near fit, and I just thought I need a change of scenery. Unfortunately, they'd started the National Soccer League in Australia, and I got it. I had a few contacts. I'd been in the New Zealand squad that played Australia. Got to know a few of the guys. A couple of whom were from Liverpool, so in the Australian team. And they'd been in touch. Should come over here. So I got in touch with a couple of people, and I ended up getting approached by Brisbane Lions to go and sign for them. So I went to Brisbane Lions, had a season for them, and then Newcastle KB United came into the league in 1978, and Alan Vest, who had played within the New Zealand team, he wanted me. He needed a keeper, and I transferred down to Newcastle, stayed 5 seasons, and basically retired from there. Yeah. So that's it. That's my New Zealand sort of Australia story too. Yeah.
And so, did you coach after that?
I did. Yeah, I was always interested in coaching. I'd say from my Barrow and Bury experiences, just knowing that it wasn't right. And I actually got my FA preliminary badge in my last season at Liverpool when I was just like 18 or 19. I was one of the youngest ever to do it. So I was interested in the game, and I actually retired from playing pretty much at 32 because I just got bored with goalkeeping. And so I quit at Newcastle KB United. They were going through financial difficulties as well, and they were talking about half wages and stuff like that. I went, oh, I don't fancy this. And I went looking for coaching jobs, and then it's funny how your contacts work in the game. And I got an offer to go back to Nelson United. They just got promoted to the National League in New Zealand. The coach that they thought was going to join them let them down pretty much at the last minute. And they said, would you come over? But we want you as a player coach. And I, oh, I don't fancy this. And I went, well, I'll tell you what, 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 I' All right then. So I went as player coach and played it with the pre-season tournament. We got to the final of the pre-season tournament, much against everyone's expectations, but I broke my hand in the final. So I was out for about 3 months with that. Brought myself back in. Second game in, I dislocated my elbow again. I said, "This is it. That's it. Oh, it's New Zealand. I'm jinxed." So anyway, I quit playing and just concentrated on the coaching. I was really enjoying it. We did really well with Nelson the following season, and but the wife and the kids wanted to come back to Australia, so we came back to Australia, and I stayed involved. I was always sort of coaching. I coached the Newcastle Breakers youth team in the National League. So I was always, and I coached at the top level around this area, and except for a spell of about 10 years when I was working in the fitness industry. I was a personal trainer for 10 years. That always interested me. And so I got my qualifications, did that. But the hours with that, you couldn't do the coaching as well. So I did that. But then I sold the businesses I had and got back into coaching. And I was lucky that the last 5 years of my working life, I've been retired for a couple of years now. The last 5 years of my working life, I was employed full-time in football again. A technical director in this area for Football Australia's skill acquisition program. So working with the kids in the 9 to 12 year age group, developing skills and sort of, channel them through to the top levels, and that by improving their skills, with focus being on skills, not winning. So it's all that. And then while I was doing that, I was very lucky. Some of the parents said to me, "Oh, do you think you could organise a tour somewhere?" I said, "Well, I suppose so." I was always quite a good organiser, running my own businesses and that sort of thing. I said, "Where do you want to go?" And they said, "Oh, well, you'll have contacts in England, wouldn't you?" And I said, "Well, not really." "Well, go on, carry on." And they said, "Well, we want to go to England." So I was lucky. I've got a mate who's a travel agent who does sporting tours. I said, "Where do we go?" And, he said, "How do we get this set up?" He said, "Well, anyway, let's have a look at it." And then we started doing a bit of investigation. First place went to was onto Liverpool's website, and they said tour groups, blah blah blah. So we got on that, and then it all went from there. Liverpool were the first club who accepted us, funnily enough. So and the company that Liverpool dealt with and we ended up dealing with and have a really good relationship now. They did it all for us. Basically, they set us up, and we go to Liverpool. We did it for 5 years before this flipping pandemic. So I'd be there right now. This is the time of year we used to go, and the school holidays, and but we Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United we've been to. We have to take them because we've got Man United supporters, so we have to take a few of them, and games and stadium tours and all that. But so we go all over. We go to some of the smaller clubs. Crewe are great. Derby and Brighton we go to. So we've done loads of them, and but we always have a couple of sessions at the Liverpool Academy, and they're really good. Everyone loves them. So it's good. So so I've really enjoyed them, and you get out on the pitch with the coaches. They do all the coaching, but you get you're there and alongside, just helping organise, and that. And I think this is where I should be. This is where it was meant to be. But just funny story. We go to Everton. We've been to Everton a few times, and you can guarantee, because they always say to you, "Oh, did you play, Phil? Where did you play?" I said, "Oh, well, started here at Liverpool." But we go to Everton. I said, "Oh, well, I used to be a red or a blue." And I was red. I said, "I used to play." And the coaches are always the youngish lads there. "We're reds as well, but don't tell anyone." So yeah, there's reds everywhere. You can't go anywhere without meeting a red.
I mean, like with the Australian League, it's come a long way, hasn't it? I mean, it's kind of like the MLS here as well. Started off kind of small and it's growing. And Australia's done well in the past World Cups. It's got to make you proud as well.
Well, yeah, I always say to me, we used to get a bit of stick actually, with being pommies. Some of the locals would say, "Oh, we're taking the places of local players," and you shouldn't be doing. Actually, I was only here in Newcastle 6 weeks, and the president of the club said to me, "You know what we're going to do, Phil?" I said, "No, what are you going to do?" He said, "We're going to get rid of all you pommies." He said, "And we're going to fill a team full of local players." "Oh, that's great. I've only been here 6 weeks. Give us a break." And And I said, well, your man has said it doesn't work like that. Oh, yeah, the crowds will come. And we were getting good crowds. We were getting like an average of 12,000 at that stage. And I said, well, they won't care as long as you win. I said, but the minute you start losing, they won't come. So anyway, the minute as I was leaving, they were just about a fully local team. And guess what? They got relegated, And but we had a good start. I mean, we had players like Paul Reaney playing for us. And Paul Reaney played 700 and odd times for Leeds, played for England, So he come and finished his career with us. He came at 35 or something. He was still the fittest on the team, And we became good mates, and a cracking bloke. But we had Bobby Charlton come out for a guest spell, Mick Shannon, Craig Johnston, who hopefully I'll try and get in touch with for you. And again, Craig came out a couple of times. What the biggest surprise to me was that Liverpool let him come and play a couple of guest games for us, So that's 3 or 4 guest games he played during that spell in the off season, and we stayed good mates, and so we had some good players. And although we were only part-time professionals, so we had to have proper jobs, and but we used to train like Tuesday, Thursday night, maybe another night of a Friday as well, go off to Adelaide or somewhere on a Saturday, play Sunday, go back to work on Monday. And now they're all full-time pros, and I don't think the standards improved any, to be honest with you. I still think the team that we had, with the likes of the Reeneys, and we had players like great Bob Manford, who played hundreds of games for the likes of Rochdale and Huddersfield and Crewe, and Billy Summerscales, who played hundreds of games for Port Vale. So we had players like that. They give this lot of run for their money. Now, I won't go into the old joke, as we're all in our 60s and our 70s now, but put them put us at our best alongside this lot of their best. We give them a damn good run for the money. And these are all full-time pros. But the full-time professionalism has helped the Australian national team also going into Asia from Oceania, because the Aussie team used to just play in the Oceania World Cup qualifying group alongside New Zealand. So the only opposition we got was from New Zealand. And New Zealand, we weren't ever really as good as Australia anyway. Happened a couple of times that we beat them, but not very often. And it didn't get enough competitive games. So now Australia, being in Asia, gets a lot of good quality qualifying games, so that when, they're a good chance of qualifying, and when they get there, they're going to be better prepared as well. So that's all helped as well, So yeah, and the likes of Craig Johnson. If we were disciples for soccer, as it was in them days, in Australia, Craig was he was the messiah in a way, because he was the first one to go over, really. And that's why we've got so many Liverpool supporters in our area here in Newcastle. So he was a Newcastle lad who went over, and everyone was watching him playing for Liverpool. But that encouraged so many more to go over as well. And they said, well, if Craig Johnson can do it, we can do it, and that's how he got so many. We've dropped off, and we used to have a lot of good players, Schwarzer and Kuehl and Viduka, to name Lucas Neal, just to name a few, and there was loads of them playing in good standards, We've lost a bit of that now. We've got to try and get it back, but I'm not quite sure how we're doing it. So we should always qualify for a World Cup. It's always going to be a battle for us to get out of the group stages. So yeah, I think anyway. People over here, they say, we should be aiming to win it, and I'm going, well, get realistic, So but anyway, that's where they're at. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny to hear most of those names, because most of them played for Leeds as well.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Yeah, the Leeds sort of brought a few in, and Liverpool had a couple, as I say, Johnston and Kuehl, and yeah, did they have any? I don't think they had any other Aussies, did they? No. Just the two. But
yeah, I mean, it's tough, especially living in the States as well, and seeing how football is. It's starting to catch on, isn't it, Steve? We just got a professional team called Austin FC, and it's packed to the rafters. And it's kind of actually a bit like trying to get tickets to a Liverpool game. You can't. Is
that right? Yeah. Is that in the MLS now as well?
Yeah.
I thought I'd seen that. Yeah.
I wish, you could do like the promotion relegation thing, but it's not at that stage at the moment.
Well, we're not either. Then they're talking about a second division over here in Australia, and I just go, oh, the money. I don't know how they're going to do it financially. Like the States, massive country. How are we going to go a second division team from our side of the country over to Perth or something? Which is a 6-hour flight if you could go direct, and you can't go direct. So. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the standard would drop as well. If you had that second division kind of, especially over here, probably just be full of college kids. So I mean, it's getting there. I still have to go to an Austin FC game, actually.
Really?
It's in my own backyard, so Liverpool always first. But I mean, you've got to support your local, wherever you are in the world. Go to a match. You don't have to always buy the shirt and all that good stuff. But I mean, because there's a lot of people that write them off. It's MLS, it's crap, But I mean, you go with a bunch of mates, have a few bevs and watch.
I don't get involved an awful lot on social media and that. I'm on there, but I'm certainly not on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I don't get involved in the arguments because I just couldn't be bothered, But I mentioned the Liverpool and AC Milan game, and the people slagging them off, and so didn't do this, and he missed that chance, and if we keep missing, and I'm going, especially after what we're going through now, what we've been through, just enjoy it for what it is, not what you expect it to be. I mean, one of the things that wrecked my career was I tried to be too perfect, and I ended up dropping clangers. Particularly in my early days, I dropped some right clangers, and which, of course, when you're a goalkeeper, costs you big time, And I used to get mad about it, and instead of thinking, right, I just got to work a bit harder. It came to me later on in my career, when I talked Newcastle into employing a goalkeeper coach. I was like, I'm going to work smarter and not harder, well, maybe a bit of both, that I've got to concentrate on what I'm doing and with my training and that, and I say, I just tried to be too fair. And so many people, they're not enjoying it. I mean, fancy going to Liverpool and AC Milan. Maybe some of these keyboard warriors didn't go the game. Maybe they can only watch it on the television or whatever, but just enjoy it for what it is. I mean, and I sit there and I we watch them at silly hours, the games here, well, I don't, but I'll still get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock and watch it. Then, if it's been kicked off at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can't get up for that, not at my age. And so I'll have all my devices turned off and I'll get up and watch it without knowing the score and everything, and put my headphones on so the wife can't hear me. Well, she can't hear the commentary and all that while she's snoring, and and then people will talk to me afterwards, and they'll say, "Oh, what about so and so?" And and did you see this? And I go, "Well, no, actually, I just want to be entertained. I just want to sit there and enjoy it, and then I don't want to sort of go." And maybe it's because of being a player that I don't want to say, "Well, he was crap," because I know that they were downside better than I would have ever been, and I played the game professionally, and they're miles in front of me, So maybe it's a thing when you haven't played the game, you can do it.
People are very critical these days, and I don't even understand the criticism of Klopp and the boys. Sometimes last season was just a season to forget. But people, you've got to realise with all the injuries, we still got third place. Third. I know. 5 points behind United, who lost Maguire for 2 weeks at the end of the season, and everybody was talking about that, but not.
Can't afford to lose him. Well, we lost 3 of them. We lost 3 Maguires and a few more, So. Yeah.
And the pundits still kept asking, like, what's wrong with Liverpool? I'm like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out, but of course.
And we did miss a lot of chances too, chances that would normally go in. And you looked at that ridiculous stat where they had 120 shots and only had 4 goals or something, from 120 shots. That can happen. It's football. The next 120 shots, we might get 50 goals. So it's just one of them things. Had the crowd been in as well, it would have been different. Because the crowd does help and suck the ball in the back of the net, and it has been doing since I've been going in the 1950s. So so I just hate. And I saw someone on Facebook again just the other day. FSG out. We're talking about the new stand, and I'm going, yeah, that means they're not going to spend any money on players. FSG out. I went, oh, for God's sake,
welcome to the club. I mean, we always talk about this. Yeah, they've made quite a few mistakes, and they've turned around and rectified it really quickly. Yeah. But they've done a lot more than what people really understand. It costs money to run a club. Yeah, some people just think it grows on trees. We're not the cities of this world. We're not the Chelseas of this world where it's an open checkbook. They can sign anyone. And last time I looked at the league, we're joint top of the league.
Joint top, yeah. We bought alphabetical order.
Yeah, and we bought one player, Canoti. Again, the saying, when your injured players come back, they're like new players. Well, they are like new players because Van Dijk didn't play barely last season. And you can just tell how this team is when he's back there. They're more assured of themselves, and that helps the midfield as well.
Absolutely.
I think it's bizarre to me that people counting us out. Just because
keep doing it. I love it. Keep doing
it. Our last laugh will be Liverpool winning the league or Champions League. I guarantee it.
I'm sure if the right player, if Klopp had said, I really must have this player, I'm sure the money would have been available. But I bet he didn't. I bet he's looked at it because, as I said before, big ethos for him is, make the players that we've got better players, improve them as well. And he's looked at what's coming through as well, and he's gone, well, who's going to improve our team?
Yeah.
And you look at all these other teams, all the top teams in the world, and you go, well, who's going to make us a better team? There's not many. There might be the odd one or two, but you're going to have to, Mbappe and probably improve any team, but you're going to have to spend squillions. And do you really want to do that? And, if it's not there, and they've built a new main stand, they're building a new Anfield Road stand, they've built a new training centre. That's off the pitch. And then on the pitch, we've won the championship for the first time in 30 years, and we've won our 6th European Cup. I mean, those bells, how much better? And for the World Cup for the first time ever, World Cup for the first time ever. I mean, how much better does it get?
Yeah.
Because you've got high expectations if you want better than that. Yeah.
Well, people have short-term memory loss. That's all I always like to say it. But this team's amazing. I mean, Klopp has said it himself. What's the point of having an academy if you're not going to bring these kids through?
Well, that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Why pay, over the odds for some lad that you've only scouted on, when you have some 17, 18-year-old kid that you watch nearly every day? The K Gordon.
And you probably had him since he was 10 as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
in a lot of cases,
that's how the Fodens, the Mounts of this world are coming through. Well, Bill, we've got Gordon, we've got Morton, who looks a player. Boy, does he?
Yeah, I only saw that bit of him. I haven't really seen much of him, but the reports coming back were good. And Harvey Elliott, of course, what a shame for him. I was really looking forward to seeing how he was going to develop, and that's going to be stalled for a little while, well, a good while now, So not only are they bringing them through their own academy, they're scouting them at other clubs' academies and saying, well, look, if you can't afford, you might not be able to hang on to him. Here is some money now, and we'll develop him. Good business as well. Yeah.
Oh, of course it is. That's what another reason I just don't understand people as well. If it doesn't work out, you have somebody like Michael Edwards who does a sell-on clause. And, I still don't understand how he sold Solanke for 20 million. I don't. I nearly don't. Jordan Ibe, same thing.
Jordan Ibe, there's a few, isn't there?
You know, you've got they said he was going to be the next Mbappe, was Brewster. You know.
Oh yeah. He couldn't get a game with Sheffield United.
Exactly.
They went down.
Yeah, and we got what 20 mil for him as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you know, if it doesn't work, you know, same with Harry Wilson. If it doesn't work, you know, put him out on loan. If it doesn't work out on loan, then you sell him. That's what you do. You know, but for Klopp, I'll say it till I'm, you know, I'm blue in the face. If he wants a player, he will get that player.
Yeah,
he did it with Van Dijk. He waited for him. And I guarantee this summer, I believe he will see the breakup of the front three.
Yeah,
I think Bobby will be the first one to go.
Probably, yeah. I think that's the way it's headed, isn't it? And,
you just need freshening up, you know. The back line will be the same for a while. You know, you've got Kanote, who looks the real deal as well, if he can learn under Virgil. And, you know, if Matip can stay injury-free, you know, he could move into midfield.
He's a revelation this year, isn't he?
Yeah, he looks like
I've seen him do it before, you know, and always thought, he's good coming forward, isn't he? And then this season, everyone's sitting off and he's just going straight through, you know. Keep going, lad. Yeah, you know, and Fabinho will sit in for him. You know that. So yeah, all good.
Yeah, it's great to watch this team. You know, we are watching one hell of an amazing squad. We are. You know, for the past 4 seasons, we've been, you know, inundated with just amazing matches, and I think a lot of people haven't really taken that in.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I saw the Shankly's first great team, and then I saw that breakup in the second great team starting before I left the country. And in the 70s and the 80s, we didn't get a lot on television over here. We got little bits, but we didn't get an awful lot. But I can't imagine, and some people say, the 80s team, the last team that won the championship, I think was one of the best teams they ever had. But this team is better than any that I saw in my early days, you know. I mean, as much as I love the Roger Hunts and the Ian St. Johns and the Ron Yates of this world, you know, I mean, they would struggle to compete with this team, I think. I mean, they give them a game. Don't worry, they give them a game. But this is some team.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, Klopp's not going to leave this team high and dry, as some people, you know, think. He's not going to do a Fergie, where it's just like, look, I'm done, I'm finished.
I'm out.
You know, bye. He's going to make sure when he leaves, this squad is ready for the next, you know, whoever it is. If it's Gerrard, if it's you know, Linders. I think Gerrard needs to leave the Scottish League and go to Europe, because he won't coach in the Premier League. Any other team than Liverpool, but I think
I wouldn't have thought so. No.
I think he's got a ways to go yet, you know, before he could be considered. Because I'd hate for him to come and, you know, it's kind of like a Lampard, where, you know, the whole like he's Chelsea, and then, you know, bye bye. You're not at that level yet. So I think Stevie's still got a little bit. But before we leave, I want to ask you about your Motown and your Northern Soul.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always love it because, you know, I DJ as well, and we had Mo Stewart on, who does you know, the hip hop and stuff. So I mean, is that it's a hobby? You know.
No, I don't do enough. Don't do
bingo
enough.
halls.
Sorry.
You do the old bingo halls.
They don't have the bingo halls here so much, but similar sorts of things. You know, we've got to make sure there's a good wooden floor for dancing for a start. Not that I'm a good dancer, by the way, but you know, there are plenty that there are. But you know, when I was growing up in the 60s and the 70s, in early 70s in Liverpool, you know, I was one of the mods that was into soul, you know, and we were right into the soul music in them days, and and so I used to buy records that stacked there behind me, and there's so many boxes down there and that, and I brought them with me. And right now, we're downsizing, and I've got rid of most of my football memorabilia, but I'm not letting my records go, And so I brought a stack with about 500. And then about 10 years ago, a place I was working, I met a couple of guys. Well, one of the guys I was working with can't remember what happened. Or one of the blokes said, "Oh, can I get a witness?" He was locking the door. That's why he said, "Can I get a witness?" And I said, "Can I get a witness?" And Marvin Gaye song. And this young lad behind me, he says, "Oh, that's a great song, that." I said, "Oh, you're too young to know that." And it turned out he was DJing all the old vinyl, so the needles and the vinyl and everything, and twin decks. And he says, "Oh, yeah, we've got there's a few of us, reggae got soul. We go and DJ around some of the pubs and that, And I said, "Well, I've got all these old records." I said, "You want to start playing some of them?" So I brought them in for him, and he said, "Bloody hell!" He said, "What a great collection!" And so he said, "Well, we're on next Friday night, such and so." So I took him down with me. He said, "Oh, you put them on." He said, I'm going for a drink." He said, "You put them on." I said, "Oh, show me what to do then." Because I'd actually done a couple of sessions DJ, and I'd always wanted to be a DJ, but never got around to it, And he showed me what to do, and that was it. So for the last 10 years, and they do different gigs around different places. And I said, "Oh, well, when you're struggling," I said, "if one of you can't do it, if somebody can't do it, you need someone, I'll fill in for you, So I used to do that for them. And now there's all the expats all over the country, and they put on weekends and that, So Sydney will have a weekend. We started putting one on here, but we haven't been able to do them for 2 years now because of this flaming pandemic. Something else that's come to a stop, and so we'll go and do a guest spot on there and stuff like that. So all the old, well, we're all getting to my age, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and so it'll probably die out before too long because we can't get on the dance floor on our Zimmer frames, But yeah, so I say just do a little bit guest spotting here and there for them, yeah. But I'm, sort of really, Northern Soul really took off after I'd left England. It's only since I met these guys that I thought I'd dug further and further into it and found out more. So now when I get back on my tours, I always go to the record shops in Liverpool. And there's a couple in Bold Street, and go to the soul section, and I always find some. Oh, this one that's quite rare. Oh, I want that one, So fortunately, I'm on expenses, so I get expenses for taking the tour over. So most of my expenses goes on vinyl, So yeah, so that's what I do. So bit of music, as I say, selling my football memorabilia at the moment, but not my records.
I mean, music and football go hand in hand, especially Liverpool as well,
Yeah. I was going to say Liverpool, yeah, it's just known for it, and it's like it was in the the 60s for us with the Mersey beat. Now, as I say, you were actually the centre of the universe, being from Liverpool. It was just crazy times, yeah. Good time to be alive in Liverpool, the 60s.
Yeah, well, I mean, still a good time to be alive in Liverpool right now. The next.
It's a great city now, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's never really gone away. It's just gotten a bit, like, cleaner and stuff, but like the rise of Jamie Webster, musicians like him, it's like the fifth, sixth wave of the Liverpool beat. I'm loving it. I love music. I have for a long time. I'm like you as well, mod. I love me Northern Soul and now house music and everything. Hey, if it makes you move, I'm all right with it, and I love the classy clothes, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like go, "Why do you button your shirt, all the way to the top?" I'm like, because it has a button.
Well, I haven't done mine. You say I could have done my Fred Perry shirt, but I it's quite hot here today, so I'm thinking, I'll leave it open. We're coming to summer in Australia.
Well, Phil, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad we finally got you on.
My pleasure too. Yeah.
It's always great to hear Liverpool stories. Like I said, we bring on guests because we want to hear these stories.
That's great. Yeah.
It is. It never gets old because everyone has a different Liverpool story. No, like I said, we're nearly 100 episodes, and Steve can back me up. I don't think we've ever heard, two of the same story, which is absolutely boss. And, hopefully another 100 episodes later on, and we still won't hear the same story. So we really do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. Yeah, thanks for asking me. And I'll keep my eye out for future ones. And I promise I'll get Craig Johnson for you at some stage too.
Brilliant. Yeah, we have a few female fans in the official supporters group that fancied Craig.
Is that right?
Yeah. I won't say a name. I think he knows who it is. I think it was the hair.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the hair with Craig.
Well, I'm afraid it's a bit different these days. Have you seen the pictures that are posted on the Facebook page, the historical group Facebook page? We look a bit different now.
Hey, it's all right though. The heart's still there. That live bird still beating. So I'd definitely love to have him on. But again, honoured that you came on and chatted with us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, Phil.
Yeah, I'd say, love it. Yeah, well, reminiscing. We do that, us old people.
Right.
Even if nobody wants to listen, we'll
That's right. Yeah.
Once again, if you like our content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Liverpool Connection Podcast, and also our podcast at atxreds.com. We really do appreciate everybody tuning in and listening. I'm trying to do my best to get the 100th episode and really put out a really good 100th episode guest. So look out for that. Look out for the competition, Jeff Goulding's books, which again, please go out and buy The Untouchables. It is an amazing book, and well played to Jeff Goulding and Kieran Smith for researching for a whole year and finding some amazing stories. So from me, up the Reds, and we will see you next episode.
Cheers, everyone.
See you guys.